So you don't like traditional crowns?
No, and the reason why is because they're very aggressive. In order to put a traditional crown on, we have to shave the whole tooth down and then put the cap over the top of that tooth. There's a lot of problems with that. They start to leak, they can get cavities up underneath them. You're aggressive, you have to remove a lot of good tooth structure that doesn't need to be removed. So rather than calling it the new type of crown, it's not even a crown at all. It's bonding the tooth together from side to side, forward, back, and adhering that tooth all together. Now, the key to that is we use what's called a fiber mesh inside the tooth. So we line the inside of the tooth with the fiber mesh, and that splints the tooth together. So now we don't need to crown it from the outside because we're splinting it from the inside.
So the crowns are supposed to last how long, by the way?
I would say, you know, insurance will pay for a new crown every 5 years.
Okay, so it's supposed to last about 5 years.
I would hope they would last longer, but
now,
yeah.
with this biomimetic technique where you're not really shaving down the tooth.
Exactly, we're not shaving down the tooth. And the cool thing about it is the research and the techniques that we're using are showing that these are lasting 15, 20 years. And if something were to go wrong, it can be repaired. You don't have to go in and take the whole crown off. If there were a problem, you go in and repair that single spot and then rebuild it that way.
Okay, so under crowns, I saw a video on your website. I guess under crown, a lot of things like bacteria, like gum disease bacteria could go under there.
Yep.
And you could be losing your tooth, but you don't know it until there's symptoms, right?
Exactly.
Or with this biomimetic where you're just addressing what, the top part of the tooth?
Yeah, so what's happening is you're removing the decay, making sure that everything is cleaned out, and then you're layering different materials.
That's white, always white?
It's always white, it's tooth colored. And as you're layering and using that fiber mesh in there, it's actually bonding the tooth together. Think of it like carbon fiber in a race car, or rebar in concrete. It's allowing that to splint together from the inside so we're not having to shave the outside.
Is it a lot more expensive to do it this way?
No, and in the long run, it's actually cheaper because it lasts so much longer.
Now, you teach other dentists this biomimetic dentistry. With biomimetic dentistry, are we always referring to this kind of like a no prep crown where you don't carve down the tooth?
Yes.
Is that what it is?
The goal is to maintain as much of the natural tooth structure as possible. So biomimetics means to mimic nature. So we want to keep as much of the natural tooth there as we can without shaving it down.
So when you shave it down, and I don't want to put words in, so I'm trying to understand this. A typical crown, so it gets infected,
right?
And then you have to pull the crown off, maybe shave down more of the tooth structure, or lose the tooth altogether?
Exactly. You end up needing root canals, and then that goes into an implant, and then...
So that's just a patchwork, a traditional crown, in your opinion? I mean, it works.
Compared to compared to what we have now, I mean, yeah, I think any dentist would say that it's fair to say that crowns don't last forever.
All right.
Yeah.
So get a biomimetic dentist.
Exactly.
Is that what you do? You ask your dentist? You do, like, what do you say?
There's
machines out there, by the way, that make crowns in one day. So you're not a fan of that either, probably.
No, I am. Those machines are great because they can actually make the same sort of restoration without having to shave the whole tooth down. So it doesn't have to be a crown in one day, but maybe it's a biomimetic restoration in one day, where an inlay or an onlay.
So it's more like a little tiny cap on top of the tooth,
That's
rather than covering the whole tooth.
Right. So let's say you have a cavity in a tooth, and it's eaten away one corner of it. So rather than shaving the whole tooth down, just repair and replace.
Just fill in that area.
Fill in that area.
That makes sense.
But see, here's the thing. As dentists, we didn't have the techniques and the materials to do that years ago, but now we do. So now, rather than shaving the whole tooth down, guess what? We're able to bond in one single area without shaving the whole tooth down.
So they're more likely to lose their tooth with traditional crowns than they are with this, in your opinion?
In my opinion, yes. I think when you start going around the whole circumference of the tooth, sooner or later,
Do you have to be politically correct on this? I'm just curious. Like, do you really hate traditional crowns, knowing what you know?
If you gave me the choice between a traditional crown and a biomimetic restoration, there's no question what I would do.
So you think nobody should be getting those older crowns? They should be getting just addressing the problem.
Here's the thing, once you've had a crown, you have to replace it with a crown. There's not really a way to bring back all that natural tooth structure. You have to replace it with the crown. But let's say you have a large silver filling and you've been told you need a crown. At that point, I would really do my homework and figure out, okay, does it really need a crown, or can it be bonded back together?
So you could remove the silver filling, put in this technique
Yep.
without shaving down the tooth,
The complete
and destroying
tooth,
the
yeah.
tooth.
That's right. And here's the thing: as dentists, there's guidelines and protocols that we follow to figure out, all right, what is this really going to need? Does it need a bigger biomimetic restoration? Does it need an inlay? Does it need an onlay? You know, at what point do we decide what restoration is going to be used? We have techniques and protocols that we follow to say, okay, well, look, if it's 4 millimeters deep, or if there's a crack in the tooth, or if there's only so much tooth left, we're going to just go down a decision tree and figure out exactly what are we going to do.
I mean, the main thing is, look, people don't necessarily want to ever go to the dentist, right?
Well, maybe they're going to the wrong dentist.
For cleaning, right? But you don't really want to have dental work
My
done.
patients love me.
Okay, but I mean, you don't. Other than cleanings, you don't
right.
want to go to the dentist. So is this one of those things that if you were able to get this message across the country, that it would create a lot fewer trips because crowns only last 5 or 6 years?
That's right.
Whereas this could actually potentially last for as long as you
Yep.
take care of your teeth.
This last year has been one of the first years that one of the major dental schools in the country is teaching this protocol. So as that major dental school has taken a hold of this, you will start to see other dental schools learn this technique, and it will become more and more popular. We're just ahead of the curve. And this isn't something that I made up on my own. These are, you know, with all respect, techniques that I've learned from some of the best minds in dentistry. So I know the research is there, and I know that it works, and I know that if it were me, there's no question what I would do.
So crowns are out. This new kind of filling material is in.
Yeah,
Is that
it's
right?
material and technique.
So even if somebody has a pretty, like a cracked tooth,
Yep,
this would work with them?
absolutely.
Because that's how, I guess, why they put crowns in the first place?
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
like it's in pain or a cracked tooth.
Right, so let's say you have an old silver filling and the dentist shows you this, and if you see a crack in it, you know, there's a pretty good chance he's going to prescribe that tooth needs a crown. Well, now with the materials, we can actually splint that crack together. We can keep it from getting worse without having to shave the whole tooth down and put a cap over the top.